Like, we're not the answer to the world's problems or to everything your kids need, but we are a critical component because kids need to understand, what their freedoms are, how to be an entrepreneur, how to have critical thinking, what money is, why inflation is happening. It's not because of Putin, it's because they've been printing a ton of money. Our books have these answers, and what parents are seeing is that they're blown away at how their kids can understand these complex ideas when you tell it to them through story.
Tamara Ugolini here with Rebel News, wondering if you have ever struggled with ways to educate your children on economic, political, and civic concepts that are aligned with a more traditionally principled approach. If so, then this interview may be for you. As a homeschooling dad of two, author and public speaker Connor Boyack saw a need to provide freedom-loving parents with content that was easy to digest and present it in a way that is intriguing and still fun for young minds. So he started the series called The Tuttle Twins. But recently it came under fire by legacy media, critics such as CNN, who published a hit piece on the series, and we're going to chat about it.
Well, back in 2014, when we started, my two kids were age 5 and 3. And I am what I like to call a full time freedom fighter. I run a nonprofit, a think tank. We work on changing laws. And when my 5-year old son started asking me what I did all day when I was gone at work, I found myself struggling to articulate, how do you talk about fighting eminent domain or socialism or whatever? I went on Amazon and I looked for books to help. There's books for birds and the bees, for potty training, for like all kinds of stuff. I thought surely there will be a book that helps me talk about free markets or property rights or personal freedom and so forth. And there was nothing. And I spent a couple weeks thinking, oh, if only there were something. There ought to be something. And then I thought, you're an idiot. You talk about entrepreneurship all the time, and here's an opportunity. So I talked it over with a buddy of mine who also had young kids, and he had an artistic kind of background, and so he and I became partners. And so his name's Elijah, and he's our illustrator, and I'm the author. So it was born out of this need for us, this desire to talk to our own kids about these ideas. And then obviously that's been validated with millions of other families recognizing that they want to have those conversations with their kids as well. And that's where the Tuttle Twins books can help those parents have those conversations.
It's always nice to have easy to digest content, like you say, for those young readers that align with the parents' morals and values. Now, in light of the radical ideologies and these extreme sort of fringy ideologies permeating into more and more of children's lives, so we see it in the school system, and of course, most recently with children's programmer oligarch Disney and their gender ideology initiatives. What was your takeaway when CNN says things like right wing children's entertainment complex is upon us in reference to your series?
Oh, it's so hypocritical. It is laughingly hypocritical that the moment some of us try and talk to kids about the ideas of America's founding and personal freedoms, that they wail and gnash their teeth, and how dare you do that, when for decades, either overtly or covertly, the quote unquote left, as we'll call it, has long been doing this. We see them saying the quiet part out loud now when they're admitting publicly to what they've long been doing quietly and more behind the scenes. They're more brazen now. They're more proactive. They're more agenda driven and activisty. And so parents, I think, are increasingly recognizing that the institutions that they've long trusted no longer deserve their trust. And then those parents look around and say, well, who do I trust? Where do I go? What do I do? And so, our team is there raising our hands saying, like, we're not the answer to the world's problems or to everything your kids need, but we are a critical component because kids need to understand, what their freedoms are, how to be an entrepreneur, how to have critical thinking, what money is, why inflation is happening. It's not because of Putin, it's because they've been printing a ton of money. Our books have these answers, and what parents are seeing is that they're blown away at how their kids can understand these complex ideas when you tell it to them through story. You don't sit a kid down and say, let me help you understand monetary policy and how, like, boring, right? But when it's a fun story, it sinks in for these kids. So sure, let CNN freak out, let them complain that we're doing it. But to be fair, we're only now starting to do in the past few years what they have long been doing. And I think rightly so. Parents need tools, they need ammunition to fight back, and the Tuttle Twins for them can be that ammunition.
I like that you bring in, you say, to contrast some of these boring concepts and topics and make them fun loving. What is one book that, is your favorite, maybe a very boring concept or topic that you've transformed into something easy to digest and fun for a young mind?
I'm going to probably say it's our second book, The Tuttle Twins and the Miraculous Pencil. And this is a book that explains how markets work. Markets are these abstract, intangible things that kids can't really understand. What's an economy? Who cares? Why does it matter to me? But we use a story by Leonard Read, written decades ago. His essay was called I, Pencil, and it's the autobiography of a pencil, how it's made, all the different parts and components. And it starts with this premise, this thesis. The pencil, speaking autobiographically, says, "No one knows how to make me. I am a simple common object, but no one knows how to make a pencil." It's actually the combined knowledge and resources of millions of people. Because the guy who's cutting down the tree for the wood needs a chainsaw. He doesn't know how to make a chainsaw, and the chainsaw manufacturer needs, metal. They don't know how to smelt and mine and build the roads and build the machinery, and everyone is interdependent. We're seeing that now with the supply chain problems and how interdependent and interconnected we all are. And when something is askew, it causes all these ripple effects. So in our book, we have this more simplified version of the story where the Tuttle twins go on a field trip to a pencil factory. And they start to learn that how complex and amazing it is that people are working together all across the world who speak different languages, have different religions, maybe their countries are even at war with one another, and yet it's the market that brings them together to make these amazing products and resources. And so it gives a little bit of a visualization to what otherwise is this abstract weird idea that at the end of the day, it's people working together. The market is people working together. I do a lot of assemblies for schools and classrooms, and I share this story. I actually bring in a big pencil and a block of wood and metal and all the various components. And I end this way. I said, kids, when you go home, now that you understand that no one knows how to make a pencil, no one knows how to make a cell phone, no one knows how to make anything, it requires many people together. Now I want you to go home, and when mom or dad puts that meal in front of you for dinner time, you look them in the eye and say, "You didn't make that." And the kids start giggling like, "Oh, I get to tell my parents they didn't make dinner." And then I say you got to follow up with them and help them understand that even though they're doing the final piece, they are actually dependent on all these different people, the grocery store guy, the delivery drivers, the farmers, and everything else, who are all involved in helping us make that meal. It's a way to combat entitlement mentality that the meal just shows up and I demand good food. That it's this humbling, amazing, curious thing about our world. And so that's what I love, is that economics is boring. I hated economics in school. I did poorly in it. Supply and demand curves and aggregate, blah, blah, blah. Like no one cares. But when you have these stories and these visualizations, it comes alive for kids and it helps them better understand the world they're a part of. That is the power of economics when it's done right. And that's why I think the Tuttle Twins is clicking for so many people, because the parents are seeing their kids have these aha moments when they understand these ideas, and it helps them understand the world they're growing up to be a part of.
It's really sounding to me less and less like this is some sort of right wing children's entertainment and actually just real world constructive content that makes sense. Going back to that CNN hit piece, what did that do for the publicity of your company and the series?
I agree with your conclusion. I think these things are common sense, but increasingly common sense is uncommon, and so perhaps for that reason, it's being branded the way it is. The CNN article, when it came out, I people in my shoes might have otherwise felt sad or depressed. Here's this CNN article bringing national attention and attacking your baby that you were like. People might otherwise feel like that. I had a smile on my face. I was gratified to see this article come out, because I'm a marketing guy. I think about this stuff a lot. And I know that attacks from your enemy is a great way to rally the troops. When you can point to the enemy and say, the enemy's at our gates, stand with us. You plant the flag and you say, you're either with the enemy or you're with us. Rally around the flag and come support us. And so it's a great way to get people who otherwise, were looking at the Tuttle Twins books from afar, or had been pondering for a while whether to get them. When they saw CNN attack us, sales just went through the roof. I mean, on any given day, I think we sell around like 4,000 to 5,000 books. On the first day that we got attacked by CNN, it 10x'd our sales. just tons of people. And we shared the article all over social media. We created a coupon code called CNN. It's still active, by the way. We decided to extend it so anyone can use the coupon CNN to get 50% off of our children's series. And people are just like, so many people in the comments were like, "Oh man, I've been meaning to get these for months. I finally took action." Or a lot of people would say things like if CNN hates it, I must love it. So I know nothing about these books. I'm just going to go buy them. And so I started telling people, does anyone have any contacts at MSNBC? I would love to like get them to pile on us as well, so that we can sell even more books. It was a great marketing gift, and a great way to rally the troops. And in fact, we're actually redesigning our website right now. And so what's common on a lot of websites, I'm sure you and others have seen them, where you go to look at a product or a service and they have what's called social proof. They show all the different logos of different companies that they work with, or the testimonials from people who say nice things about them. It leads us to, oh, okay, if they like it, then I might like it too. It's called social proof. Well, we're actually going to try something that I'm calling anti-social proof. So on our website, sure, we'll probably list some of those nice things as well, but we're going to have a big banner that says these books are CNN disapproved, and really try and highlight that for people, so that it's like, if you don't like what CNN's about, you should check out these books.
I think that's a great idea, and I was definitely one of those people looking, and I kind of knew of Tuttle Twins from the outside, and I was just watching. I actually reached out to you before this CNN hit piece came out, and because I'm in Canada, so you've actually received international attention. And
Mhm.
speaking for the Canadian consumer and some of my friends, and of course our viewers, the shipping charges on your website are often equivalent to the series themselves. Do you have any plans to expand your North American reach, or come into Canada, or any specific Canadian content?
That's actually something we've had a lot more demand recently for. So we're looking into that. We translate our books into about a dozen different languages right now. So we sell a ton in like Brazil and Germany and France, and so I think our attention has been focused a lot. When we think of outside the United States, we've been thinking of like alternative languages and really getting these countries going, and less about Canada or Australia, New Zealand, where they're ordering the books, and it's even more obscene to get the book shipped there. So our team is now looking into options where we can do local distributors, and try and streamline the process. So it's definitely on the radar.
That's great. Did I miss anything in the interview here that you'd like to touch on, Connor? If you had a platform in Canada to share some views?
Maybe the cartoon, we can mention that, because that's easy to for anyone in Canada or elsewhere to access.
Wow, nice throw, Ethan! Just a few more like that and we'll have enough tickets to buy that telescope from the prize counter. Then tonight we'll be able to witness Junie's comet. It only happens once every 100 years.
And I'll be able to use my astrophotography camera to film it for my disaster movie. It'll look so much better than what I've got now.
We raised about $5 million from over 8,000 investors a couple years ago to fund a new animated cartoon series. It's completely free to watch. We have 8 episodes out now of season one. We're going to do 12 episodes. The cartoons are based on the same ideas in the books. They're super high quality. It's kind of like Simpsons, where there's like kid humor and adult humor packed in together, so the whole family can get some laughs out of it. That's the approach we're taking as well. So the cartoon is another way. Like, we have books, we have curriculum, we have a podcast, we have a game. We're building a content empire so that we can teach kids in a variety of manners, mediums. But the cartoon is completely free. You go to TuttleTwinsTV.com. There's no subscriptions. You can find them on YouTube. And so people in Canada and elsewhere, it's a great way to talk to their kids about these ideas as well, without having to pay anything, because we're trying to reach as many people with the cartoon as we can, under the idea that if they see the cartoon and they like it, then we say, hey, parents, you want to teach your kids even more, go get the books. And hey, you like the books, great, go get the curriculum, and we can kind of help steward people even more.
The increase in Connor's bottom line, coupled with the fact that other media platforms, such as the Daily Wire,
and we are committed over the next 3 years to spending at a minimum $100 million on kids content through DW Kids,
have recently announced an investment of a minimum of $100 million into launching Wholesome children's entertainment, speaks volumes to the desire of parents to have this kind of content for their young and easily impressionable children. Like the article says, parents are tired of giving their money to woke corporations that hate them. And they're tired of giving their money to media corporations who espouse radical race and gender theory endlessly. For Rebel News, I'm Tamara Ugolini. Just in time for Mother's Day, we have added rebellious new additions to our Rebel News store. Our Mother's Day special features new designs like Rebel Mom, Rebel Grandma, and My Mom is a Rebel. There's shirts, phone cases, and even a cute little tote bag to ensure that the busy mom in your life has all of her essentials in one place. Check out our latest designs at rebelnewsstore.com. We also have a BOGO deal happening for Mother's Day. So for every purchase that you make, you can use the coupon code MOM25 to receive 25% off of your next purchase. Buy one and get one 25% off at rebelnewsstore.com.